English. I'm Kristen Cho.
And I'm Cameron Word.
Cameron,
yes.
You sound a little nasally today.
Do I sound...
What happened? Are you sick?
I was sick. I don't feel sick anymore.
Oh, okay.
But it's that last day.
It's the post.
Yeah. Post-sickness nasaliness?
Nasaliness, it's true.
Yeah, nasal, of course, is anything to do with the nose, right?
That's right.
N-A-S-A-L.
That's right.
So when you sound nasal, it's this kind of...
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes when I go, my past recordings, I'm a 성우, and then I hear my voice occasionally, and then I realize, that was after a cold. I can hear the nasalness.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I hope you feel better, Cameron. Today, maybe this topic will make you feel better. We are traveling today to the Lofton Islands.
Yeah.
And we're going to a special place inside the Lofton Islands, and it is called Newsfjord. It is a very old fish village.
Newsfjord?
Yeah, Newsfjord. And you know what I found out?
What?
That there's a board game called Newsfjord.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's about fishing and... Yeah, it's great. I've never played it.
A board game about fishing.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, it is a very famous place, and we'll learn more about it. Here are the expressions that we are going to learn. In someone's or something's heyday. Heyday is spelled Heyday. In your heyday is what?
This means whenever you are the most popular, or whenever the thing is the most popular or at its best.
At its best. Powerful. It could be whatever.
Yes.
All right. A means of...
So a means of is a way of, a method of doing something.
Okay, very good. And finally, if it is a way of life...
So this is the type of lifestyle that you have. Is it a slow life? Or is it a fast, busy city life? All those are different ways of life.
Yeah. So it's kind of like how you live your life.
Yes.
All right, let's go ahead and listen to our travel dialogue.
Did you know that Nusfjord is a UNESCO World Heritage Site?
No, but I can understand why. I imagine in its heyday, this place was bustling with hundreds of fishermen and traders.
It was a means of surviving for most of them.
Look at this plaque on the side of our rorbu.
Wow. This cabin was originally built in 1847, then destroyed by a storm and rebuilt in 1899.
I love fishing, but this wouldn't be the way of life I'd choose, especially with the cold winters.
We're on page 56. You can find our power dialogue there. Lofton Islands trip. Look at this plaque. Actually, we didn't talk about the word plaque. It's spelled Plaque. It's 명판.
Yes.
And so now let's see what this 명판 is all about. So Coulter says, did you know that Newsfjord is a UNESCO World Heritage Site? And what does Tyler say?
No, but I can understand why. I imagine in its heyday, this place was bustling with hundreds of fishermen and traders.
So this place is a very historical place. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And Tyler says, well, she didn't know that, but I imagine in its heyday, this place was bustling with hundreds of fishermen and traders. So our power pattern today, Cameron, is I imagine.
Yes.
Now, when you use the word imagine, 상상하는 거죠, right? Or is that what she's doing, literally? Or is it a little bit different?
It is a little different. I think it might be good to think of the opposite. You know how sometimes we say, I can't believe. Wow, I can't imagine.
I can't imagine, yeah.
Right? For something so surprising. Here, it's the opposite. It's like, I can understand why.
Yes.
I can imagine that it was a certain way.
Right. So it's not so much that you're imagining this, like an area that doesn't really exist. It's just saying that, oh, yeah, I can see why that is true.
Yes.
So I imagined, she says, in its heyday. Okay? So now it's not bustling. There aren't so many fishermen and traders, but in its heyday, there probably were.
Yes.
So, heyday.
Heyday, of course you could say something in Korean like 전성기. And it is about when something or someone is the best they ever were, the most popular it ever was. And we often do use this for cities that maybe in the past they were a really big, wonderful city.
Yeah.
And maybe now it's not as big.
Right.
You could use this for stores. I think of, in my childhood, there was a skating rink that was in its heyday. Where every birthday, the kids wanted to go to the skating rink.
Really?
To skate. But now you go to it and it's not popular.
Yeah.
It looks old.
Right.
No one goes to it.
Right.
So it's no longer in its heyday.
Okay, very good. So it could be a country, it could be a city, a skate rink, right?
Yes.
Any of those things. And it can also be like, a person and maybe their career.
Yeah.
In their heyday.
Yes.
Okay. All right. We'll give you examples in just a bit. Coulter says, it was a means of surviving for most of them. So, a means of, M-E-A-N-S, a means of doing something.
Yes. So a means of here is talking about it was a method, it was a way of doing something. So Tyler is imagining this big city with lots of people. Coulter's just kind of saying, they were just trying to survive.
Right.
They were not trying to make a fantastic, exciting place. These people just needed to eat and live.
That's right.
So this way of life was a means of surviving.
Yeah. It's just a way of doing something and, to survive. So if you do something as a means of surviving, specifically, it's really just that, so that you can make some money and eat and have a roof over your head.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do think of like food, maybe in traditional societies, where we are surprised that they make the food in that way. Like I think of people who live way north and they'll like take the seal meat and they'll put it in the snow.
Right.
And they, maybe they like the taste or they don't, but it's really just a means of survival.
Yeah.
It's a method they have found to have food.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, very good. We'll give you more examples in a bit. And Tyler says, look at this plaque on the side of our rorbu. Okay, so like I said, a plaque, right, is 명판. And it's on the side of a rorbu, which is actually a traditional fishing house or fishing hut. And if you type this in on the internet and you see the pictures, it's so pretty.
Is it?
It really is. They're colorful, and they're very close to the water. Some are on top of the water.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's really like just out of a fairy tale.
Wow, rorbu. This word I am seeing for the first time.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people. How do we know about that, right?
Yeah.
So there are these little fishermen houses for the fishermen. So what does Coulter say?
Wow, this cabin was originally built in 1847, then destroyed by a storm and rebuilt in 1899.
So these cabins are very old. Okay.
Yeah.
And Tyler says, I love fishing, but this wouldn't be the way of life I'd choose, especially with the cold winters. Okay. So Tyler likes fishing, but this is not the way she wants to live.
Right.
It wouldn't be the way of life I choose. So way of life.
Yeah, way of life. It is similar to lifestyle, but it is a little different.
Yeah.
So,
how so?
For example, I think if you live in a city, there are many types of lifestyles in a city.
Right.
But there aren't many ways of life. like, I think city life is one way of life.
Right, true.
Right?
It's in one big category.
One big category. So, like, being a farmer is a way of life.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Whereas your lifestyle would be like, do you go home and read a book?
Yeah.
Or do you, like, go find your friends and go to a restaurant?
Yeah, or are you a freelancer?
Or, like, yeah.
Right.
So, I think a lifestyle feels like you're talking about smaller things, so it can be very diverse. A way of life feels like a bigger category.
All right, very good. Let's go ahead and listen to that dialogue one more time.
Did you know that Nussfjord is a UNESCO World Heritage Site?
No, but I can understand why. I imagine in its heyday, this place was bustling with hundreds of fishermen and traders.
It was a means of surviving for most of them.
Look at this plaque on the side of our rorbu.
Wow. This cabin was originally built in 1847, then destroyed by a storm and rebuilt in 1899.
I love fishing, but this wouldn't be the way of life I'd choose, especially with the cold winters.
It's time for Power Note. We're on pages 58 and 59. Now, if we say in someone's or something's heyday, so it could be a person, it could be a location, a restaurant, really any sort of business, it means that it was at their peak.
Yes.
The most popular, the most profitable, the most powerful, anything really. Let's look at some examples. In my heyday, I was the fastest sprinter in the entire school.
That was 30 years ago. Now you get out of breath walking to the car.
That's so sad.
It is true, though. People that talk about their high school days, oftentimes they... how do I say this? Like, we say peaked in high school, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So their heyday was in high school, and they have not improved since
After
that time.
that. Yeah. And it's so funny because usually it's kind of the nerds or the geeks in high school that become really successful later. They have their heyday later.
Yes.
Isn't that true?
It's true. In college or beyond when they get a job.
Right.
Right.
This is what I tell my son all the time.
It's true.
Don't worry. Your time will come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was in high school... that was not my heyday.
No, me too. Me too.
I look at pictures of me in high school.
Yeah.
Some people look at high school pictures and they think, I was so
I miss
young.
those days.
I was so beautiful. No, not for me.
Not for me, too.
This is our heyday right now.
Okay, that's right. In their heyday, those bands would sell out arenas within minutes. So a singer, a band, in their heyday, they were the most popular.
Yes.
Now, not really.
It is weird whenever you get these huge bands that sold out stadiums in their heyday. And now they're maybe still active, but they're playing much smaller venues, right?
Yeah, right.
It's good for them. They're continuing with their passion, but it is a weird feeling.
Yeah. I would imagine, but that's life. It's like nothing is forever.
Right.
So everybody has their heyday.
Yes.
And then they go down or they go into something different.
Right.
Okay. So another example would be maybe a stockbroker making a lot of money in their heyday, or maybe real estate sales. A real estate agency may have its heyday during a certain peak.
Yes.
Right? And make lots of money. Okay. So those are some examples. How about the next one? A means of. So this is a way of doing or a method of doing to get something.
Yes.
Why do you prefer taking the bus to work?
Because it's a means of reducing traffic congestion and moving people more efficiently.
Do you agree?
Yes.
Yes.
I do agree. It does. I mean, if more people rode the bus or took the subway, there'd be fewer cars.
True.
And everything could go faster.
Right.
However, I do understand why people have cars.
I know.
Yeah.
Right.
But they do. Have you seen those things where it shows one person driving a car and how much space one person has to take up on the road?
I don't know.
Like what they did was they just like kind of drew boxes around the cars. And if you're the only person in the car, you're taking up so much room.
That is true.
Compared to a bunch of people on the bus.
Right, right. And that's why, like, even in America, they still have, like, carpool lanes where, you know, the more people in the car, they get access to a faster lane.
Yeah, as a means of.
As a means of.
Helping with traffic.
That's right. She used her writing skills as a means of expressing her emotions and ideas. Okay.
So this is saying what the goal is. So writing skills you can use for many different things. But the goal for her was just expressing her emotions.
Yeah.
She didn't need to earn money. It wasn't a job.
Yeah.
It was her passion.
Right. And so not only writing, but I think artists in general paint and draw as a means to express themselves.
Right.
Yeah. That's just how it is. We all have different ways that, you know, that helps us to express ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's move on to a way of life. So it may be kind of difficult to understand. Lifestyle, way of life. So a way of life is just basically the way you live that kind of shows your culture, your value, or like you said, a very general term to describe the way you live.
Yes.
Okay, let's give some examples. What was it like growing up on a farm?
For my family, waking up at dawn and tending to crops was a way of life.
Yes, okay. So we mentioned that about being a farmer or farming is a way of life. Traveling light and exploring new cultures has become Mia's way of life.
Yes. Here, lifestyle feels wrong because this feels like her entire life. It's not about fashion. It's not about going and being with friends and look at my dress and blah, blah, blah. It's really about her entire life and how she leads it.
Yeah.
So a digital nomad, we've talked about before on the show.
That's right.
That's a way of life.
That's right.
But digital nomads may have different lifestyles. Some of them maybe go to a big city. Some of them maybe go to the countryside.
Go to the mountains.
Go to the mountains. Go to the beach. There are all these other different lifestyles inside of a single way of life.
Okay. So people who garden and grow their own food is a way of life. Sometimes people who are all about sports. It can be a way of life.
Yeah, if their whole life.
Yeah, like golf or tennis is their way of life. Their whole life is about golf and tennis.
Right, yeah. Or those people, if you're a soccer, football fan.
Yes.
You're going to every game.
Right.
You're wearing all the clothes.
Yeah.
You know all the chants.
That's right.
It becomes more than a lifestyle.
It's a way of life.
Everything in your life is about that.
Yeah, that's right. All right. So, power pattern, I imagine, just means, I can see why. I imagine they weren't too happy when they saw the dent on the car.
I imagine the city was very different 100 years ago.
All right. Do check out our power vocab definition on page 60. We got to wrap it up. We did a little too much chatting, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.